So, first of all, let's start with this. The NFL needs more flex scheduling. Get these bad quarterbacks off my television set. Thursday, I've got the Bears, and next Sunday, I've got the Raiders and the Jets. Please, more flex scheduling. There's about 8 guys I like. We'll get to that in a second. And the rest of them, get them off my TV. Last night, though, is a perfect example. It encapsulates the difference between a franchise quarterback and not having one. So Justin Herbert was missing 2 of his top 3 receivers, still nursing a broken finger, facing a great defense and a great defensive coach on the road. And yet he was 2 for 2 in the red zone. Got 2 chances, 2 for 2. Very good on third down and created the longest drive of the game, 16 plays, and had a crucial 10-yard run on 3rd and 8. He wasn't great last night, but on third down, he was 7 of 16. Damn good against that Jets defense. And he was 2 for 2 in the red zone. By the way, how was Zach Wilson against a much weaker defense? 0 for 2 in the red zone, 3 for 17 on third down. And that is the difference between a have and a have-not in this league. Zach Wilson at home against a weaker defense that can't find its way, couldn't make crucial plays. Justin Herbert, broken finger, great defense, missing his top 2 of 3 receivers, couldn't run the ball, kept getting first downs. If you look at the current standings in the NFL today, I'll give you the quarterback who leads the division. Tua and Josh Allen, best 2 quarterbacks in the division. Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes, and Justin Herbert. NFC, Jalen Hurts and Dak. Detroit, Jared Goff and Derek Carr. 7 of the 8 divisions. We'll figure out Seattle and San Francisco. We don't love either quarterback there. 7 of the 8 divisions. Best quarterback leads. Now, those quarterbacks aren't always great, but they don't implode. Fumbled 3 times last night like Zach. They have the trust of their teammates and staff. A coordinator is willing to take big swings, even deep in their own territory, sometimes throwing out of an end zone. Never forget this. The best quarterback in the world is Patrick Mahomes, the very best. He was the MVP last year and the Super Bowl MVP. Did you realize 5 times, about 30% of his starts, he had a passer rating under 90. But he never lost the faith of his staff, of his teammates, of his O-line, of the play callers. Not once. This Jets team, they don't believe in Zach Wilson. This Jets staff, they don't believe in Zach Wilson. How often can you go to the sidelines, look those defensive players in the eye, and expect them to march out, put up their best effort, when they're watching Justin Herbert with a broken finger down to 1 big-time receiver and a first-round receiver who appears to be a semi-bust? They can't run the football, and he's just making stuff happen. Zach's mental mistakes, pre-snap penalties. I mean, a 5-yard penalty on third down for Zach Wilson is like taking an old beater, like I drove in college and maybe you did, up the Grand Canyon. A 5-yard penalty, 3rd and 3 to 3rd and 8, feels absolutely insurmountable. Now, he didn't get a break on the special teams touchdown by the Chargers, but if the Jets got one, think Justin Herbert couldn't come back from 7-0? I don't want to be too hard on Zach Wilson. I've said before, I didn't want him drafted. I wasn't a fan. I said he was Johnny Manziel with a better arm. I would never have handed the franchise to him. There were just things psychologically, his background, his style. I didn't love his judgment. Not my guy. I'm no expert. I thought Sam Darnold would be great. But I was never a fan of Manziel. I'm not a fan of Zach Wilson, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes I hit, sometimes I don't. I think I'm more often right than wrong, but who cares, right? But I will say this. He is the majority of the NFL. Now, I think he's worse than most and far worse. But ask yourself this. I always do a Super Bowl bubble. If I just did, don't go to it yet, but if I just did a quarterback bubble, meaning, and these are players like Herbert last night, who can be banged up, on the road, without top weapons, facing a very good defense, and can go on the road and win games, not having all your elements. I always call it the overcomers, right? the guys that can overcome it. Justin Herbert's first year in the league, he had a coach that was fired. He had an offensive line that ranked 32nd in the league. And he set rookie quarterback touchdown passing records. Joe Burrow, horrible offensive line, got to a Super Bowl. You've got to overcome. Stop whining about play calling. Stop whining about the offensive line. Burrow got to a Super Bowl with one as bad as the Jets, and Herbert set records. And by the way, this year, Kansas City downgraded left tackle. Kansas City has rebooted their offensive line. The year they did, they won a Super Bowl. Now Kansas City can't get their wide receivers right. They don't have a 1 or a 2, and they lead their division. Who can overcome? Who can miss receivers? Run for your life. Great defense. Players hurt. On the road and win games like that. Who are the overcomers? Folks, the number is tiny. I think there are 8 in the NFL, and just 8. Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and Matt Stafford. Now, Stafford's banged up right now, and so everybody's going to say, well, what about Stafford's running for his life? He's hurt again. Stafford can make throws as good as anybody not named Patrick Mahomes in this league. Now, you say, what about Dak? Dak is not an overcomer. He has a 17-27 record against playoff teams in his career. He needs help. What about Jared Goff? I love him way more than most people, but I watch him get engulfed 2 or 3 times a year. He got engulfed last weekend. What about Aaron Rodgers? I don't know what he is next year. I saw him last year when he didn't have everything lined up for him. He couldn't make the playoffs in the NFC. He got beat at home by Detroit, a non-playoff team, in the final game of the year. Now, Zach Wilson is clearly worse than most, but a quarter of this league, they're not overcomers, and that's what everybody's trying to find. Now, C.J. Stroud, I need more, but it looks very, very promising. Anthony Richards, another rookie, looks very promising. But you got to give me a season. We got to get to like Thanksgiving of year 2. Again, C.J. Stroud looks very promising. But there's 8 to me in the league that, like Herbert last night, could be missing 2 of the top receivers, on the road, great defense, nursing a broken finger, and be good on third down, have a pivotal 10-yard run, and 2 for 2 in the red zone. And that's really the difference, is just being able, when you start belaboring and lamenting play calling and wide receiver drops, do you know who has the most wide receiver drops in the NFL right now? What team? At least a week ago, it was Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to hear about your wide receivers dropping the football. I don't want to hear about it. Now, they don't need to make catches like Keenan Allen made last night. I'm not asking for that. Mahomes, every year, his Chiefs usually near the top of dropping passes. And they have downgraded their left tackle this year. And they're still in first place in the AFC, at least in their division. So that's it. So I can bang on Zach Wilson, but he is in the group, the overwhelming group of people not truly gifted enough to overcome it. And, you know, most of those guys, it should be noted, Mahomes a first rounder, Josh Allen a first rounder, you know, Matt Stafford a first rounder, Trevor Lawrence a first rounder, Jalen Hurts top. I mean, most of these guys are first round talents. You can see them in college. Lamar, Josh, Herbert, Burrow, Trevor, Mahomes, Stafford, all first rounders. Now, Jalen Hurts was a second rounder, but, you know, again, so was Drew Brees. But again, you can say you're going to find him in the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th. Brock Purdy's never going to make this list. Okay, he's not. I like him. He's not going to make this list. It's mostly guys that were dominant in high school. Stafford's one of the best high school quarterbacks ever. Dominant in college. They go in the first round. They may go late first round like Lamar. They may have skeptics. I was one of them on Lamar, but that's where you get them from. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.